Hello and welcome back to episode 4 of Inside the Tank. I'm your host, Tyler Rains, along with my co-host, Alex Fortadall. And today's episode is presented by C.W Sports Memorabilia. Alex, I want to talk about the Steelheads this week. It's a very productive week for them. They got 3 out of 4 points, and it's looking pretty bright. I want to get your thoughts on it. But first off, how are you doing this week, my friend?
I am doing very, very well, man. You know what? I'm very happy and excited about this past weekend's results for the Mississauga Steelheads. Like you said, they took 3 out of 4 points out of 3 out of 4 potential points against 2 pretty solid teams. And you know what? Some interesting things to talk about, some interesting results. James Hardy is a good hockey player. Who knew? But you know what, man? I'm pretty excited to talk to you about some hockey.
I agree. And you know what? So what we're going to structure in this episode is we're going to go through we're going to go through the games that happened this weekend. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about what they did well, what they can improve on. And of course, we're going to give you a look ahead into the next week of games, which is going to be a 3-game week. Thank God it's not a back-to-back this time. The games are spaced out, but it is going to be a pretty tough week nonetheless.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, let's get in and talk about the first game. The Barrie Colts were in town for the first time this season. Of course, the goalies for both teams, Matteo Lalama started in net for the Barrie Colts, and Joe Ranger, much deservedly, started in net for the Mississauga Steelheads. This was a game of basically back and forth goaltending. It was pretty solid. There were a lot of scoring chances, and very few of them got through on either side.
It was pretty difficult in terms of actual goal scoring for both of these teams, because listen, it was a 3-2 result that had to go in overtime, right? Matteo Lalama, former 4th overall pick by the Barrie Colts in 2019. No wonder he was taken so darn high. He played a very, very good game from what I saw. Joe Ranger for the Mississauga Steelheads also played a very, very good game. So you know what? Honestly, it was a game of circumstance, as Mississauga took a couple bad penalties, which led to 2 goals, one of those being the eventual overtime winner by defensive superstar and top prospect for the LA Kings, Brant Clark. But listen, you know what? I will always rather take an overtime loss and get that 1 point than a regular loss and not get any points. You know what? Because it was a pretty good game, man. Barrie has an incredible first line. Oscar Olsen, Hunter Haight, Evan Vierling, they kept switching that around for the past couple of games. They played with Ethan Cardwell, followed by, Brant Clark's defensive tandem right there on the first defensive line. So you know what? They played a good team, and you know what? They got a decent result. They got a point at the end of the day. James Hardy scoring an incredible power play goal, which was called off.
Which it's funny because and I was just about to talk about that. So Bo Aki took the penalty. It was a hooking call. And what had originally happened was James Hardy scored a pretty nice goal. I will not lie about that. For the second straight game, it was called back because of offside, which again, I'm going to hold my comments here because I'll save that for another day. Yeah. But he did end up, like a minute later, he ended up scoring again. And I have never seen a player who he came right back, looked right at the referee, and I could see the words from his mouth. That counted. And he did the Austin Matthews good goal celebration as well to finish it off. Another player in the blue and white doing that. So you know what? That was a pretty good game from James Hardy. He would then also get an assist on the second Steelhead goal, which was scored, of course, by Luca Del Bel Baluz. My goodness, has to be that's a potential goal of the year right there. Easily, I think that had to be the most beautiful toe drag I think I've ever seen. And you know what? Just Alex and I explaining it doesn't do it justice. You're gonna want to check it out either on their social media or in the OHL highlight pack, which we're gonna link below. That was a beautiful goal.
It was absolutely beautiful. Everyone in terms of hockey social media is sharing it around. It's like hotcakes, man. It's just going all over the place. Bar Down shared it on their social media platforms. Barber Hockey, those guys, they know what skill is, man. All their content in hockey is all focused on skill. And of course, Luca Del Bel Baluz scores an incredibly skilled goal, and it's spreading like absolute wildfire. So
just the waiting at the end, like he got the pass, he slowly toe dragged it. The disrespect,
took his time. It was an absolutely beautiful goal. I'm sorry, an even better pass
That was beautiful.
Ty
That was-
Collins, a great saucer. James Hardy got the secondary assist on that. But then
and overall, just great play.
overall, it was an absolute great play. The game would then go to overtime because Mississauga,
So yeah,
Hunter
and
Haight,
yeah,
keep talking.
and yeah, loading it up to that, loading it up. Look at me.
Loading it up.
Hunter Haight and Bose Jelsma scored the tying goal, which
It was a bad penalty.
it's those
Take.
penalties that you got to watch out for.
A delay of game penalty by Ula Bjorvik led to a Hunter Haight power play goal, which let Barry get back into it a bit. Let's be real
It
here.
gave them the momentum.
It did. And then Bo Jelsma scored a very good goal assisted by Connor Punnett to tie the game. The game would then go to overtime, and another Ula Bjorvik penalty led to a power play in overtime where Brant Clark, top prospect for the LA Kings, absolute menace in the league. Man, I seriously love this player, man. Brant Clark has been an absolute menace. And funny enough, as Barry is just finishing up their game tonight at this time, he scored another goal. So you know what? He's been having a great weekend. And of course, he scored the overtime winner, assisted by Swedish sensation and Colorado Avalanche prospect Oscar Olsen and San Jose prospect by Ethan Cardwell, right? Was he San Jose?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. They're taking the chance on him. My God.
And,
They're gonna
it's disappointing that they lost, but at the end of the day, they got a point out of it. And that's the important part, right?
No, that's true. Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. They got a point out of it. And you know what? It's better to always get a point than not get a point. But listen, it was a pure game of circumstance because of those penalties. That's my only negative about this game, realistically, because those Barry goals, I will say from what I saw in person, a couple lucky bounces kind of went their way to those goals happening. Of course, besides the Ula Bjorvik home penalties that happened right before that really gave Barry that, the chances to score those 2 goals. But I will say, though, that's been the story all year so far. They've been taking way too many penalties.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And especially like those penalties late in the game, they're going to kill you.
And it did.
Like they're gonna end up wounding you. And I mean, it did cost them at the end of the day, but
it did.
You know what? The good thing is that's easily changeable. You just got to tell them to keep their heads up, just play smart, try to be careful with, the plays that you make, whether it's a slash, a hook, anything, just be careful. And
Absolutely.
Speaking of being careful and looking at how the teams were evenly matched, let's talk about the Hamilton game, which finished up actually on Saturday, which is today.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really great game overall played by the Steelheads. They played a complete 60 minutes, and I thought they played a lot better than they did in previous weeks.
I agree.
So Marco Constantini, who has been one of the best goalies in the league, continued to stay hot. Just barely letting in any goals, with the exception of James Hardy's shorthanded goal in the first period or in the second period.
It's a great goal.
Then Xander Vecchia's first OHL goal that tied the game up. So it was again a battle of 2 good goaltenders. Roman Bazarin was starting, made his return to the net for Mississauga, and then Marco Constantini was starting for the Bulldogs. So, first period, Chaz Sharp takes a hooking call. The Bulldogs are on the power play going into the second period. James Hardy scores an absolutely beautiful shorthanded goal to put the Steelheads up 1-0. Again, Ty Anselmini takes a slashing call.
He loves his penalties.
Lawson Shirk ties the game up, which, again, slap on the wrist, dude. Game's tied at 1-1. Chaz Sharp takes another penalty. This one, it was a hooking call.
Another hooking call.
George Diaco puts the Bulldogs ahead 2-1. You need to watch out for those ones, because it's going to cost you. Like we said, the Barry game, it cost them the game. This one, it could have cost them the game, but they made the most of their power play chances from Hamilton as well. So of course, the Bulldogs would take the lead for most of the second period going into the third. Ryan Humphrey takes a cross-checking penalty, and Xander Vecchia scores his first OHL goal. And I have to give props to James Richmond and the coaching staff, because putting that line of Del Belbaluz, Hardy, and Collins together is just genius. It's a master plan that worked out, I think, so far.
It has. It absolutely has.
That line really just kind of made a huge, huge difference in this game. And of course, Owen Beck gets the assist on Owen Beck and Ethan Del Mastro get the assist on Xander Vecchia's goal. It would go to overtime. Nothing gets solved. So, of course, they will go to the shootout. Owen Beck wins it in the shootout. Steelheads take the game 3-2. Now,
Owen Beck is
that
good at
being
hockey,
said, they're tied for fourth place in the division, but given the way that the teams have played this year so far, there's only a 3-point difference that separates North Bay, that's in first with 10 points, from Mississauga, that's tied for fourth with 7 points. That's not a big point margin.
The funny thing is, earlier in the season, I said Mississauga would probably get third or fourth in the division, just because, at least on paper, I thought I thought other teams in the division would probably play better than Mississauga in terms of what they have now. But my goodness, as of right now, it's still early, but as of right now, the Central Division is wide open for anyone to take. It really is.
Indeed, it is. I mean, it'll be interesting in the next couple of weeks seeing who ends up taking the division lead and going into the Christmas break, which a lot of people probably don't want to think about Christmas right now, but it's coming fast. It's almost.
Why wouldn't
it's
we want
almost
to think
into
about
November.
Christmas? Christmas is the best time of year.
That's true. I think a
Tyler?
lot of people are just worried about the snow and whatnot, right? But it's coming into
We're-
November. Like we're almost in November.
Don't live in
already.
Canada then. I'm sorry, but don't live in Canada if you're afraid of snow. Come on. But in all
True.
seriousness, though, it was a good game. Owen Beck played a great game. James Hardy is very good at hockey. Who the heck knew that? You know what? And hard work and perseverance will lead the way in majority of cases in life. And in this case of this game against Hamilton, it worked out as they win the game and they take the full 2 points.
Which is absolutely perfect. So they got, like we were mentioning before, they got 3 out of 4 points this weekend. They have the momentum rolling into next weekend, and it's going to be a fun one. So, before we move ahead, I want to ask you a question, Alex.
Okay, I feel I'm in the hot seat. What's the question?
You like sports memorabilia, right? Like sticks, pucks, jerseys, anything like that, right?
I love sports memorabilia, Tyler. I absolutely love that stuff. Why?
What if I told you there was a really great place to get it at an amazing price, and there's anything that you could possibly want, from not just hockey, from baseball, football, anything?
Given at this time it's about to be Halloween, I would assume you're under some hocus pocus spell or something. No, I don't. Is there a place like that?
Actually, yes, there is. The sponsor of today's video is C.W Sports Memorabilia, and there is a lot of great things. Charles Warburton is the official Steelheads photographer, and he also runs a sports memorabilia business on the side, which he has so much amazing sports gear. Anything from custom photoshopped and signed posters to sticks, paintings that were signed by NHL alumni, goalie helmets. There are so many cool things. And on top of that, he also does custom framing.
And the framing he does is absolutely stunning. It's incredible, handmade, fresh, beautiful mahogany wood quality, worthy of any price. And the funny thing is, I actually did a comparison just for this bit where I compared, for example, oh my goodness, I forgot the name. Michaels, right? Michaels. They would set you back $500 for a custom frame job, while for CW Sports Memorabilia, it is much lower than that. It's much lower than that, and the quality, I would even say, is better than that. And the great thing about our partnership with Charles and CW Sports Memorabilia is that if you message him on social media, if you say, hey, I heard you from the Pro Shop podcast, I heard you from Inside the Tank, you will get a 10% off your very first order with him on any sports memorabilia products. He has hockey products, baseball products, football products, soccer products. He has everything. He offers incredible products, absolutely legit. And in all of this, he's still and is currently doing autograph signings with athletes. If they're NHL Hall of Famers, current NHLers, major junior players, right? Like, he covers everything in terms of his wares, and he offers an incredible service, very, very fair and good prices. And he has an incredible business, and we're incredibly happy to partner with him. So again, message him, code PROSHOT for 10% off your first order. And he's a great person, a great guy, and he offers a very good business.
And like we were saying, if if you are big sports memorabilia fans like Alex and I are, you're definitely going to want to go and check out CW Sports Memorabilia. We will leave the link in the description to their social media, and you can check them out from there. Alex, let's look ahead into the upcoming week. So there's going to be a 3-game week again. Thank God it's not a back-to-back-to-back. The games are spread out.
Back-to-backs. Oh my gosh, I hate them.
But it's going to be a little bit of a tough week. And, we've been saying that a lot. And people are probably getting used to and getting sick of
this schedule is tough. Hockey's a tough sport. Hockey's exactly. A tough sport.
But this week is no exception. November 3rd, which is a Wednesday night, they're rolling into Kingston. They're going to be facing Kane right in the Kingston Frontenacs, which is going to be a test of will because, we've seen the first game that Mississauga played against Kingston. They came in and they curb stomped them.
They killed them.
It was just
7-2.
Easy victory. But as Kingston has gotten better and through the season, it's been a lot more solid for them. So they've really improved as a team. And we're going to probably have to see that on Wednesday night when they go into Kingston. That's going to be a pretty good game. Of course, you can watch that one on the CHL Live app. Friday night, they're back at home to face the Hamilton Bulldogs, which, like we were talking about, they're a solid team. It's not going to be an easy task to defeat them, but if you get in their heads early and you stay disciplined, don't take unnecessary penalties, that's probably one of their keys to victory. And then on Sunday afternoon, once again, the best time to watch hockey, they are at home to face the division rival Niagara Ice Dogs.
Niagara should be easy pickings. I genuinely believe that. The only real obstacle, personally, I think of when I look at Niagara is their goaltending. Joey Costanzo, who was the first goalie taken in this past OHL draft, who we interviewed. He's a very good goalie, right? Tucker Tynan, right? Coming off of a horrific injury that he suffered that got national coverage. He's back. He's one of the top goalies in the OHL. Goaltending is incredible in Niagara. I believe that's the only realistic threat to Mississauga because you know what? Niagara and Mississauga currently right now, they're very comparable in my opinion. Both are very young teams with a very good, interesting core of rookies who have very great potentials moving forward in terms of their careers in hockey, right? Niagara has Panophemus, right? Panophemus, second overall pick by the Niagara Ice Dogs in the 2020 OHL draft, just behind Ty Nelson, right? And look at Ty Nelson; he's a point per game defenseman in North Bay, right? Top prospect for the upcoming NHL draft, right? Aiden Castle, right, who's been killing it, former Toronto Junior Canadian. Alec Leonard, he's a great defender. He's also been killing it, right? Daniil Gushin, oh my goodness, import pick who didn't go to Regina and didn't play for Connor Bedard. He's now with Niagara and has, I believe, 8 or 9 goals. So he's up there with James Hardy in terms of, goal per game kind of players, right? So listen, the potential is there for Niagara. I just think, though, that Mississauga's defense could counteract that very well, but it's going to be a battle of goaltending in terms of the Niagara game. So I think it won't be easy at all in terms of their back end, but I think the projections should show that I think Mississauga will beat Niagara on Sunday.
And it's going to be an interesting week for sure. I think this is one of the weeks where you really need to pay attention if you're a Steelheads fan, because this is one of the most important weeks. Of course, we're heading into November. Like we said, that's always kind of like the turning point of the season, that November, December type period where they either play the best or they're a little bit patchy. This team, given the way that they've played over the last couple of weeks, they have the potential to just steamroll everybody that they play. But again, that all depends on if they're going to play disciplined and if they're going to play the best that they can.
Things are coming together, Tyler.
And it's looking good. Like
it is looking good.
And yeah, Alex, you know what? They are coming together. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because you look at the team chemistry. It was shaky earlier in the season because a lot of these guys were not used to being together. Some of the guys weren't there. Like Olivia Holm was off at Blue Jackets camp. Del Mastro was off at Chicago Blackhawks camp. Hardy was off at Leafs prospect camp. So these guys didn't come back until like the preseason, and they're still trying to gel a little bit. So of course you got to do a little bit of team building exercises, which they've done. And their on ice chemistry has been a lot better, and their play as a result has been even better, which is perfect.
Potential. Absolutely. The potential is huge for this team, and especially going into November and December. This is when that chemistry should start to solidify, right? It should, it should start to harden in that kind of way, right? Things should, the wheels on the bus should be chugging along pretty well here, right? Because listen, if they can if they can come out of November and December with a winning record, that puts them in a good spot for the rest of the season to potentially maintain a playoff spot, right? Because again, potential, but you know what? I say this word a lot. Potential is thrown around a lot. I think maybe a bit too much. But with this team, because so far we've seen so many bright moments by some of these players, right? If they just put it together, they are going to be a very, very difficult team to beat, Tyler. So you know what? These next 3 games are going to be pretty critical because you know what? It's not a back-to-back-to-back. They have space in between their games to get a good rest in to recover. So you know what? They're going to be playing some top-notch hockey. So it's going to be really interesting to see the results of these games.
And before we end off the episode, I want to leave you, the viewer, with a question. What's your favorite part been so far about the Mississauga Steelheads? My personal favorite part has been just being back at the rink and seeing everybody being there physically for games again. It's just so much fun, which, by the way, you should definitely go and check out their website, get some tickets, come on down to the games, bring your friends, bring your family. It's a lot of fun.
They're so cheap. It's absolutely insane, man. Honestly, great quality hockey. I'm sorry, it's better than AHL hockey. I said it. It's better than AHL hockey, and you pay $30 to $50 for a ticket, $20 tickets, man. Oh my goodness, for incredible hockey and a really, really affordable price. A great night out to watch some great athletes play some good hockey. Absolutely.
That is going to do it for this one. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifications for future posts. Don't forget to like the video and share it with all your friends. As always, this has been your host, Tyler Rains, along with my co-host, Alex Fortadall. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.